So here you see 7 ODC files, and we are going to talk about some features and illustrate these features on those files. Let's go first to how to read the data in. For this, I'm going to use cheese and stress acids. So let's go with cheese. This is the ODC file in Wimbugs, taste of cheese. The data come from Australian DASL library. They're available on web. And the problem is here to predict the score of cheese, variable score, based on some chemical properties of the cheese: acetic acid, H2S, and lactic acid. And the data are read in, so we have the variables, the predictors, and we have the response. The response is score, regression problem. So how to put these scores and acetic acid, H2S, and lactic acid in? There are several ways. In the data, the first format, you see it now, is simply to form the list. N is 30 of these instances. I get all 30 scores as the vector score, concatenated numbers with C operator, acetic as vector, H2S as another vector, and lactic as another vector. So I just read them separately, and I highlight the list when read the data in. Second way to do it is to form a matrix, to form an array in which I list each instance, but here I have score, acetic, H2S, and lactic as vector of size 4, and I have 30 rows for each cheese. Then in this case, if you read data as this, you have to separate list and 30, read the data, and then again read the data by highlighting the few lines of this matrix with the names and reading the data again. One thing to be careful is that this matrix has to end with keyword end, and that a line after the keyword end should be empty. So this is the second way how to read the data in. The third way how to read data is just put one big sequence called pred, and in this big sequence, one vector, single vector. Pred is structure, data is single vector, but you say the dimension of this vector is 30 times 4, 34. That means 30 rows and 4 columns. So if you do that, the way to read would be to uncomment. If you use that kind of reading, you will uncomment these few lines. Score would be this pred I in first column, acetic I would be pred in the second column, and so on and so forth. So we saw now 3 ways to read data in for this regression. Let me show you another example, which is stress acids. And stress acids is essentially 2-sample t-test. The story is about pregnant women, and some of these pregnant women are smoking during pregnancy, and researchers are interested in the plasma ascorbic acid levels in pregnant women smokers compared to non-smokers. And this is essentially 2-sample t-test here, but the problem is that sample sizes for the mother smokers and non-smokers are not the same. And how to read that, so organizing as a matrix is impossible because the number of rows would not be the same. So you essentially put this plasma measure together as a big single sequence, like here, and then have a pointer, this variable small, that says, well, these first N1 observations are non-smokers, and these several are smokers. So there are small index 1 or 2, and when you read this data, you read the mu or plasma I as mu for smokers and non-smokers. So this small of I is either 1 or 2, and you would be essentially reading this as with 2 mu's here, and 1 would be for non-smokers and second is for smokers. So this is simply lumping together all data and having index that separates where data belong. So that was very briefly about how to put data in.